In Part 5, the Rebel Alliance has a showdown with some alien-like creatures, which we later learn is all theater. The aliens are all fake, and what's worse is that it was set up by the CIA. As if that's not already bad enough though, a mole by the name of Visser infiltrates the Rebel Alliance and gains all their trust, only to completely annihilate them while they're defending themselves against the alien onslaught. But just when he thought he was going to get away with it, he's shot with this mysterious gel bullet that somehow drops the super soldier to the ground. And so we're all left on the edge of our seats wondering, what was in that bullet? Part 6 starts exactly where we left off and wastes no time in answering that very question. So let's get started. "What the hell'd you do to me?" Visser shrieked, still retching up mouthfuls of blood. His skin was becoming redder by the moment. "Screw you," Luke responded. "You don't get to ask any goddamn questions. Here's what we're gonna do," he continued. "You give us the information that we want." He held up a vial of clear liquid, "and I'll give you the antidote." "Antidote to what?" Visser asked. "What do you think?" Luke responded. "You have about 10 minutes before your skin starts bubbling up like a pizza in an oven. It's gonna look nasty. Say goodbye to that handsome face." Visser let out a pained chuckle. "Nice bluff. I don't feel anything. I'll survive whatever the hell this is." I had to commend his dedication to the lie. His face was going beet red, and his eyes looked about ready to pop from his skull. Luke sighed. "We can wait then. Let's see if your tune changes in the next few minutes." I couldn't even begin to tell you what Luke had blasted him with, but I'm sure as hell glad none of it splashed onto me. The amount of pain that Visser was experiencing seemed to multiply with every second that passed. After only a minute, he began screaming his lungs out, as if his head were being crushed under 10,000 tons. "You don't feel anything, huh?" Luke said coldly. "What the hell is in that bullet?" I asked him. He just shook his head. "I'll tell you later." He walked over towards Visser and knelt down beside him. "I'll bet you're going through hell right now, aren't ya? Well, brace yourself, 'cause this ain't even the peak of it." New York," Visser muttered out. Luke grinned. "Now we're getting somewhere. If I fail to deliver the footage, the next attack's gonna be in New York." "Well, all right," Luke responded. "So how do we stop it?" Visser let out an excruciating groan. He was starting to turn crimson. "The sewers," he continued. "They'll come out of the sewers." "Which area?" "Lower Manhattan." "When?" Two days from now, around noon." Luke nodded before standing back up. "New York, huh? Couldn't have picked a more generic place." "That's everything I know," Visser said, gritting his teeth through every word. "Give me the antidote." "One more question," Luke said. "Is Kane gonna be there himself?" Visser responded with a strenuous-looking nod. "I think so. The antidote, man, come on!" "Oh, you mean this?" Luke said, holding up the vial. Instead of handing it over, he opened it up himself before pouring it down his throat. Visser's expression dropped. "This is vodka," Luke continued. "There is no antidote." Luke walked off, leaving Visser to scream in agony by himself. I'd be lying if I said that this whole sequence wasn't a bit jarring for me. I just had to stand there for a moment, watching him. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't take my eyes off him. But as big of a piece of garbage that Visser was, I couldn't help but feel sorry for him, just a bit. 2 days, Luke muttered to himself. That's not a lot of time. Hell, we don't even know if he was telling the truth. So that's where we're going. Manhattan? I asked. Luke nodded, although his face seemed to be stuck in a permanent grimace. We gained intel at the price of 2 valuable assets. 2 of them? I asked. Colt, I understand. But what was the other? The bullet I shot at Visser, Luke responded. That was supposed to be for Kane. It's the only thing that's capable of taking him down. I nearly choked on my own saliva when he said it. Are you freaking kidding me? The words came out of my mouth almost instinctively. Why the hell would you waste it on him then? Relax, Luke responded. We had 2. There's 1 bullet left. We just need to have perfect aim. No big deal. What the hell was in that bullet? He went silent at my question, before letting out a brief chuckle. You know what? I don't actually know. Before he gave me a further explanation, the rest of our team made their way into the clearing, all looking pretty roughed up. Armin came through first, his eyes widening upon seeing Colt's body. God damn it, he muttered. His eyes then moved over to Visser, still convulsing on the ground. His dismay turned into anger as he stared at Luke. Don't tell me you used it, Armin said, his eyes fixed on Luke in a death stare. What were you thinking? He was filming the entire attack, Luke responded, his voice remaining calm. Could you imagine what would have happened if that footage made it to anybody significant? Armin shook his head, visibly pissed off. Doesn't change the fact that you just took the biggest risk of all time. Did you get anything out of him at least? Luke nodded. Next attack's gonna be in New York in 2 days. They're coming out of the sewers. Apparently Kane's gonna be there as well. Armin took a moment to calm himself down. Well, let's see if your decision pays off, or if you just screwed us over permanently. Yeah, Luke said, walking off. Quit being so dramatic, let's get on the plane. Hang on, Armin called after him. What about your arm? Can you even move that thing? Without turning back, Luke used his good arm to flash the OK symbol at him. Armin shook his head and mumbled something before following after him. I began walking as well, but felt Visser grab my ankle after only a few steps. You don't understand, I heard him mutter. I didn't even look down. I just shook his hand off my leg and continued walking. Over the years, I've learned that some things are better ignored. After retracing our steps through the grueling woods, we found the plane waiting for us. The pilot scanned our group, but didn't say anything about Colt's absence, although I could certainly tell that he noticed it. Luke outlined our next steps on the flight back to New York. As expected, it was a bit haphazard, but we didn't have the luxury of planning ahead. Since Lower Manhattan was a relatively large place, we had a lot of ground to cover. Luke estimated that we'd be able to gather about 90 guys who were on our side in the short-term amount of time that we had. However, that also meant telegraphing our plan to Kane's entire faction. That meant there was no going back. This was going to be our final stand. Taking out Kane was also going to be difficult, since we only had 1 bullet left. Can't we just make some more of them, I asked? Why do we have to rely on only 1? No can do, Luke responded. The only person capable of making these bullets is Kane himself. Crap, I wasn't expecting that. One of our moles actually managed to steal 5 of them from Kane's private lab, Luke continued. But then things got messy. He was killed and we only managed to recover 2. But to be honest, I'm surprised Visser didn't know about it, or else he would have realized I was bluffing about the antidote. I guess Kane does keep some things pretty close to the chest. And now we only have 1, Armin added, glaring at Luke. But does Kane know that we have it, I asked? Luke nodded. That fact certainly doesn't help. He'll be expecting us to use it. With everything considered, it sounded like we were going to need a miracle to pull this off. Luke went on to list our 2 priorities in order of importance. Number 1, do not let any of the fake aliens out of the sewers and into the city. Number 2, eliminate Kane. They were simple in concept, but presumably tougher to execute. One aspect of the plan bothered me more than anything else. We were barely strong enough to take down a single creature by ourselves, I said. How the hell are we going to deal with an entire horde and without Colt? Luke and Armin briefly glanced at one another. They almost seemed worried as they did so, as if an uncomfortable thought had just crossed both of their minds simultaneously. We do have somebody stronger than Colt on our side. Probably even stronger than Visser, Luke said. A secret weapon, if you will. I squinted at him. So why the hell wasn't he here? Because he's freaking insane, Armin responded. He's not a secret weapon, he's a last resort. I'll call Valerie, Luke said, standing up. Have her wrangle him into New York. You do that, Armin said before looking over at me. Brace yourself, because once we get into New York, things are gonna get crazy. Like and subscribe if you want to hear the series conclusion in Part 7.